everyone, today I'm here to share with you my favorite sequels. So sequels are, I think, continuations of books. I don't know if they're technically like only the second book in the series. Either way, I'm going to talk about them. In this video, first and foremost, I will be only talking about the second book in the series trilogy, however many books it may be. I'll only be talking about the second book in them. So I'm really taking the word sequel quite literally and only using the second book. Another thing is I'm not counting any books that are duologies because I feel like that's kind of not fair because you only get 2 books, so it's like a first book and a last book. You know, trilogies have 3 books and series have more than 3 books. I really want to make sure I only talked about like trilogies and series that have more books in them, obviously. So like I said, let's talk about my favorite sequels because I have quite a number of them. And again, I'm only talking about the second books. Is that technically a sequel? You let me know. Or is like a third and fourth book sequels too, or they have proper names for those as well. I've always thought that sequels are like only the second book, but I've always talked about like this is the sequel to the second book. So let me know. Seriously, I'd love to know what the proper term is. Is a sequel only for like a second movie or a second book? Let me know. I would love to know. Without further ado, let's get into it. The first sequel I want to talk about is probably my favorite sequel of all time, and that is Catching Fire by Suzanne Collins. This is one of my favorite book series of all time. I love it. It's amazing, but Catching Fire is definitely my favorite sequel for sure. And not only that, but it's probably my favorite book in the whole Hunger Games trilogy. So much more adventure, so much more action. It was just amazing. I feel like with second books, you already know the world you're getting into, so you're kind of already immersed in it, and they can, you know, they don't have to spend so much time developing that. They could just go right into the story and right to the plot line, and this definitely did that for me. And like I said, probably my favorite sequel of all time. Next up, I want to talk about Scarlet from the Lunar Chronicles. Like I said, this is the second book in the Lunar Chronicles. The Lunar Chronicles has 4 books, and I wouldn't say this isn't my favorite book in Lunar Chronicles, but I still think it was an amazing sequel. If you don't know, the Lunar Chronicles is like a fairy tale retelling with each book that really follows and introduces a new character, and you follow them primarily. So this one is Scarlet. It's the second book in the series, like I said, and we follow Scarlet. So this is kind of a take on Little Red Riding Hood. And while I said it's not my favorite in the series, I still really enjoyed it, and I thought Scarlet was a great addition to the cast of characters, and I really enjoyed the plot development more in this series. It's one of my favorite series of all time, but still a very, very awesome sequel. Speaking of awesome sequels, I have to talk about Accordionist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. This is the second book in the Court of Thorns and Roses trilogy. It's going to be a trilogy following our main characters, but then she's going to extend it on following different characters. So this is the second book. Like I said, the third book comes out very, very soon. Either way, I love this book. I thought I loved the first book in this series a lot. No. I love this book. This is one of my favorite sequels of all time. It is just amazing. While I do know there is very problematic things in it, I still really enjoy it. It's honestly like book crack to me, and I can't get over it. One of my favorite sequels, honestly. Loved it. Another sequel I really enjoy is Pandemonium by Lauren Oliver. This is the second book in the trilogy, and this is probably my favorite in the trilogy as well. The last book's definitely my least favorite. I thought this one was great because, like I said, sometimes with sequels, it's either make or break it for me, honestly. A lot of times series have been known to have the second book slump where just not a lot happens and, you know, it's not that amazing, and then the third book really revives it and it's amazing. Some series trilogies tend to have that. I don't think this one did. I really was much more engrossed in this one. It definitely told a whole new story, brought a whole new element to the series, which I really enjoyed. And I definitely say this is the strongest book in a trilogy, which is not the case most often because, like I said, a lot of books suffer from second book syndrome or second book slump, whatever you want to call it. This one I think was amazing. The last book's definitely, I did not enjoy that one at all. I also loved Clockwork Prince by Cassandra Clare. It's the second book in the Infernal Devices trilogy. I love all of those books. I would have to say probably the last book is my favorite in that trilogy, but still I thought this was a great sequel because, once again, with second books, it's either make or break it, and you can, you know, develop the plot further. I thought this was a great sequel. I really enjoyed it, and I just really enjoy all of Cassandra Clare's books. Another amazing sequel, you're probably sick of me saying that, is The Rose Society by Marie Lu. This is the second book in the Young Elites trilogy, and again, my favorite book in the trilogy. So, you know, sometimes second books are amazing, sometimes they're not amazing, but there are a few that the second book's my favorite. Like, this one's just amazing. The action's much more intense, the adventure's much more intense, the plot is more amazing, we have new characters. I love this one. This is one of a darker trilogy where we follow kind of the origins of a villain almost, so it's very, very intriguing for that manner. And The Rose Society, like, I struggle with finding out if the second or third book was my favorite. When I think about it, the second book amazing. One of the best sequels ever. Also, I want to talk about The Dream Thieves by Maggie Stiefvater. Second book in the Raven Cycle. The Raven Cycle is 4 books. This is not my favorite book in this series. I still really, you know what? I don't know which book is my favorite, honestly, so I can't say. But I still really enjoyed this one. This one is just much, it takes a different turn from what the series is used to, because it's really, I feel like each book in that series kind of really focuses on a particular character, so you have to get used to that. With the second book, you're now getting to learn that it's going to follow characters, really. And this one really follows Ronan in this series, which is one of my favorite characters. They're all just my favorite characters, to be honest with you. But this one definitely explores a different notion with it, because this book's hard to explain. It's about like paranormal and like ley lines and things like that. It's addicting. It's amazing. Love the series so much. Definitely one of the best sequels ever, because it introduces a whole new element, and it's quite literally the title when you read the book, The Dream Thieves. It literally is the title. So if you haven't read this series, you need to read it, because I'm obsessed with it, and amazing sequel. And the last sequel I want to talk about is Gemini by Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is the second book in the Illuminae is it going to be a trilogy? I'm horrible at knowing those things. Either way, this is the sequel, the second book. I really like this one. I will say I liked Illuminae more. Like, I gave it a half star more. But this one is still a great sequel. Like, this one follows a whole new cast of characters with intermixing with our old characters in our previous book. And it was still an amazing, fun ride. If you're looking for a fun, awesome sci-fi book with a different format, because this is multimedia, so you get a whole slew of things, this is a great series to check out. Highly recommend it. So those are my favorite sequels. I'm sure I could mention more. There are some second books I like, but I just don't love them. Hence, of course I didn't put Harry Potter there, because that's just a given. I didn't put like Divergent or some other series on there, because when I think about them now, I don't know if I love them as much as I thought I did. Either way, these are my favorite second books in a series or trilogy, or however many books you want to call it. I still really enjoyed them. Please let me know, what are your favorite sequels? What are your favorite second books in series? Do you have any, or do you usually find that you like the first book more, or the last book, or kind of a middle book? Let me know. I would love to know, honestly. Please share with me. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.